Okay, day 2 of my vlog. So I just did a weigh-in. I don't know, I kind of took a shot of it on the scale, but it was pretty much the same as yesterday. 209.4, despite the fact that I haven't even wrote in my workouts yet, but my 3 workouts yesterday kept my calories in check. This is kind of how life is, man. It just is. You know, and weight loss in particular, I don't know, for me, it's a freaking battle. It's not easy. So I can get down here to 202. Remember, that's an MMA weigh-in. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, but when I say 202, that could be 202.9. It just has to be 202, that's my rule. But anyway, so here I worked out, 3 hours, kept my calories tight, went to bed a little hungry, a little angry, a little bit of edge, the way you gotta do it, the way the wrestlers do it, the way the MMA guys do it, why they're so freaking mean and tough. And so, so I'll definitely be mean and tough by the end of the week when I hit 202. So anyway, so a 209.4, little disappointing. I wish the weight came off easier, but for some reason it doesn't, and maybe it will start falling off easier because I'm keeping the calories in that, I think I was like 1750 yesterday or something for the calories. And damn, this chub's got to go somewhere. It's a combination. I mean, there's fat, it's muscle. I'm definitely swam so much for that 1.5 years. I put a lot of muscle on my back. I remember looking at a picture before, and I think anyway, I have it on my card now, but right before I was going to swim the channel, I looked at my back. I said, who the hell's back is that, man? I had never seen my back with all this muscle on. I go, oh my God, I look like a little mini Hulk. Anyway, hopefully that muscle's coming off. So, and this is my thing too, right? So yeah, you could say, well, if it's muscle, Bill, and because my waist is pretty tight and everything, it doesn't matter if it's fat or muscle. It really doesn't. And there's definitely fat still there. And but it doesn't matter because you're carrying that around. I would be carrying 20 pounds around, and as I'm doing a 160-mile run or 135-mile that I have coming up, pulling a sled in the snow, then I have 2 mountain climbs, and you're going against gravity, and you need to be, they're just, people aren't out there who are 200 pounds, and even if it's all muscle 200 plus pounds, they're just not. They're out there, but they're not the top guys. They're usually, they're kind of barely making it usually because you're dragging all that extra weight around. It's not a sport that's made for having extra weight. And I'll tell you, one of the stats I heard was for a 10K, every pound you lose, you're a minute faster. And somebody told me that, and for me, I believe it. I believe that if I go down from 209 to 20, if I lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna pick 10 pounds up on a 10K. Now, I've also read where they say it's a minute for your marathon, so if you lost 10 pounds, it'd be 10 pounds off your 10 minutes off your marathon speed. I think that's a little light. I just do. I think that's a little light. I think this 10, for me, I think it's closer to that. So this is like, either way though, it's like gold. I got to get this crap off. I got to get this weight down, and I'm going to battle it like whatever it takes. Like I said, I get, the water weight seems to come on. I push it at the end, this water weight comes on because I think my body's like freaking out because Bradley's not going to stop. He's going to do whatever it takes. Let's try and break him. Let's keep this water weight on there. Anyway, so I got my 209.4, and now I got to go do an hour run. And I'll start shedding that water because I haven't eaten yet. I'm gonna go have some coffee. I just have a cold coffee because that helps burn calories. No food again. I'm getting out the door a little earlier today. I'm normally a pretty early guy unless I'm really, really busy with other stuff. So anyway, all right, talk to you later. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my morning routine as I'm having a little, I don't make coffee, I just drink the cold stuff, but my morning routine to keep my calorie count down is I have a cup of coffee and I'll drink 3.5 glasses of water, and then I'm going out for my run. But I wanted to talk to you first before I head out, because I think your morning routine is like super, super important. It puts you in the mode for the day. So first thing in the morning is, as soon as I get up, and I learned this from Bob Proctor, one of the guys on The Secret, and you gotta put your brain in a, you're kind of in this, I guess it's called a beta state, but you're kind of out of it still first thing in the morning. So your subconscious mind is super receptive to whatever you put in there. So what I did is I watched 1/2 hour of videos on abundance, on making money. My goal is to be a multi-millionaire, to be famous, to have a big platform, to inspire millions of people, give tons of value, and make millions of dollars because you're given that value, just like what Tony Robbins does. I've been a multi-millionaire in the past. I was a self-made millionaire by the time I was 28 years old. By the time I was 40 years old, I was worth $5 million. By the time I was 45 years old, I was bankrupt. I made my money in the video industry. I had started when I was 23 years old with credit cards to open my first store. I was unstoppable. I always believed there was always a solution until I was 45 and the whole video industry basically collapsed. I was one of the first guys to go because I was still expanding. I was owning real estate. The buildings I was in, it was a $10 million a year chain we were doing. We're grossing 10 million. And when I went under, because everything was hinged on the video business, and it went down really, really fast, and I went bankrupt really fast. So I was like one of the first guys to go out. But what I learned at that time, what I did though, because I had a newer marriage, the marriage came to an end. It was just the bankruptcy was too much stress on the marriage. It came to an end, and I lost everything pretty much. It felt like I lost everything. And I had, a couple nice cars, I was driving at, towards the peak, Corvette, an Escalade, and everything went, it all went, and I got, my marriage ended right around the same time. It was devastating. My dad used to call me nightly, like doing a suicide check, to make sure. That's what he told me later. Because I'd call you just to make sure you're still alive. Thanks, Padre. But it was devastating. I remember in that time I was in so much pain. People were jumping out of the bushes at night. I remember this, and handing me a subpoena, on this bankruptcy. It was a $10 million company. It hurt a lot of people by going bankrupt. Landlords mostly. You're like, when I went out, I had 13 stores. I owned, 5 of them myself that, hurt me the most probably because I had no rent coming in from my own stores. And during that time though, I swore off money, man. I said I was in so much pain from the bankruptcy going on, the divorce going on at the same time. And I was in so much pain that I swore money off. I said, man, if money causes you this much pain, I don't want money ever again. I don't need it, right? Boy, never put that in your subconscious mind, man. And you're in a traumatic state, And I put that in there. And my low, where I started thinking maybe I wanted money again, was I was living in a guy's like mother-in-law unit, a few towns down. And I'm thinking like, oh, man, this ain't that great. This ain't that great. And I'm working a job, right? I'm working as our family business, but it's still a job. I got to work, I got to work where I had total freedom before. I had freedom. I could do whatever I wanted. Now I'm working a job, an 8 to 5 and commuting and all this. And I just like, wow, so that started it. And I remember my sister about 5 years ago or 6 years ago was listening to a lot of videos, and she was listening to like Abraham Hicks, which is really deep. And so I started listening to, some of these videos my sister was listening to. And I learned a lot about like the subconscious mind during this time. Really, Abraham Hicks is really spiritual. But I was learning a lot about the subconscious mind and how much control it has over you. And I had, basically just totally traumatized my subconscious mind. And it just like, money is evil, it causes pain, it causes this. I mean, I don't know if I actually thought it was evil, but I knew that it caused me a lot of pain. And so I really realized that I had to fix my subconscious mind. The more I started listening to these videos, and the more I started getting healthier and healthier, and trying to get my confidence back. I mean, that first couple years, I remember after I went bankrupt, I couldn't look people in the eyes, man. Here I'd been, I spoke at a convention where the whole audience was quiet because they wanted to hear what I would say just a few years earlier, because I was one of the lead independents in the country. We had, you know, when we were at a 10-store chain, we won Retailer of the Year. We were doing $1 million a store, which is basically have about 7 checkouts, you know, running 1,000 people through there in a 4-hour period. I remember one of these super Safeways, one of the super big stores, they were telling, Bill, we don't have that many coming through our big giant store during that time. And we were just hammering them through. We were so busy. That was at our peak. And so people would listen to me when I talked, you know? And then it got to where, you know, then you go bankrupt. And I couldn't even look people in the eyes. I'd walk around town and I'd be looking at the ground, man. I would be looking at the ground. And so so what happened was, I started getting my confidence back though. I kept listening to those videos, and I'm doing this extreme endurance. You know, I'm going out there, I know, you know, I mean, within 6 months, I'd run my first 50-mile run. I mean, I was reaching for this stuff to get confidence by doing this extreme endurance. But it wasn't, you know, as of about 3 years ago, I got to the max you could do in extreme endurance and work a full-time job. You know, I was working, you know, you're working in commuting and working a 40-hour week and commuting an hour and a half each way and sitting in traffic. And I train in the morning, and, you know, just when I got up to where I'm trying to swim the English Channel, you know, which is one of the world's toughest swims, you know, the Arrowhead 135, which is in northern Minnesota, you're pulling a 40-pound sled with your survival gear, and you're, you know, and you're out there in the middle of winter where it was minus 48 degrees, and you're trying to climb Mount Denali, the world's coldest mountain, well, and it's, yeah, and deadliest mountain, you know, deadliest and coldest, and you're trying to do all these things and work more than full, you know, work full time, but commuting, you know, because I need to be up where I could train. And, you know, and you're trying to figure out how to eventually get your own business going. That's what I was starting to feeling better, trying to figure out how I can get a business going. And so the main thing I learned, I think, during this time was the thing I had to fix was my mind. I had to fix my mind. And so I started like working on like literally like, because it all starts with the mind. You know, I had to brainwash myself. When I was 23 years old and I opened my first video store, credit cards. Self-made millionaire by the time I was 28. Started with credit cards at 23 years old. I had cojones. I had fucking cojones back then. But when I was, and by 40, I was worth 5 million. By the time I was 45, I was bankrupt, right? I had cojones. And then I became a coward, like the opposite. Well, I'm gonna tell you this right now, as of about 3 months ago, I saved up enough money, you know, in my 401ks, basically, I had a couple of them, and I saved up enough money to last like 2 years. I gave my notice. I gave my notice because I knew what I was doing wasn't working. And I was put on this earth, literally, I know it, to inspire people, to inspire people. That's why I was put on this earth. And I'm not talking about, you know, a few people. I'm talking about millions of people. That's what I'm meant to do. I know my dad said, Bill, you were given the gift of gab. If I was given the gift of gab and I can do this extreme endurance, I'm supposed to inspire people. By, you know, that gives me a platform. You know, if I can do this stuff, I'm going to inspire people to go out and go after their dreams. One thing I learned by being around the corporate world for the last 10 years is, I don't know, they don't look that happy, man. They're out there, you know, people are working, you know, downtown San Francisco, you know, grinding out, you know, looking at their 401ks. They don't look that happy, you know, they don't look that happy. And they're just waiting, you know, they're working hard, but they're, you know, they're working for somebody else. And then I'd go up to Alaska, you know, and I'd go up on Mount Denali with these, or even when I was training on Mount Shasta and people are living in their, and
The guides, the joke is when it's climbing season, man, there's 3,000 in the town and 3,000 in the woods, because the guides don't even have enough money to, they don't have enough money to, they don't own anything. They own a car, and they almost all live in their cars or some sort of a van or some sort of a camper or something. But they look happy. They're freaking happy. They're happy. You know, they don't know what they're gonna do, you know, when they're older. That's their one thing. They're not sure, but they're living for the moment and they're happy. So, I don't know. I just realized, like, I'm supposed to inspire people. I can't get any higher than I am. I got a lot of press when I was making all my events. You know, set a world record by going 7 times across the Grand Canyon. You know, biked across America in 16 days in Ram. You know, swam 20 miles in the English Channel. Never made it to the other side, but swam 20 miles. And you know, when you make things, you can get a big platform. I can get press. I had 2 producers from Hollywood come to me, talk to me about reality shows. But as soon as I stopped not making them, it dried up. I mean, even though I'm out there, I'm up on Denali, I get frostbite, right, on my freaking thumb, my fingers. I mean, everything's a good story. When I don't make it, you almost gotta kill me, right? You almost gotta kill me. It's a hell of a story. But you know what? Nobody wants to hear, they don't want to hear from you unless you get your ass beat, you know, and you try 3 times to climb Denali, and you try 6 times to run Arrowhead, and I've had 5 times at the English Channel. You know when they want to hear from you? When you finally make it. That's when they want to hear from you, is when you finally make it. So that's why I had to quit. Bill Rogers said when he used to win, he won, I don't know, he won the Boston Marathon like 3 or 4 times in a row, and he said, I will never lose to somebody with a full-time job. And I used to laugh. I used to wonder why. And now I know why. Because those guys train a ton. To be elite, to be super, you got to train a ton. Not only do you got to train a ton, you got to rest. You got to be able to rest. That was the thing. I would still get my training in, right? Here I'm working this job, doing this commuting. I would get my training in, whatever it took, right? But I was exhausted all the time. Exhausted. And eventually, if the fatigue starts going down and you can't get your training in and you're not doing it right, and you can't do enough because you're working full time. So the 2 big things was I started working on my mind. My sister, you know, like I said, about 5 years ago, she was listening to a lot of videos, a lot of self-help videos and spiritual videos. And I started listening to a lot of videos too. And I realized I needed to reprogram my mind. I needed to get back to that fearless 23-year-old who didn't worry about failure at all. Never worried about failure. Always figured there would be a solution. Always, 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 always. Whatever would happen. You know, when the economy dropped and I had to move in. I was married at the time in my mother-in-law's house for, you know, a year and a half or something like that, when the business was really bad, but I always knew there would be, you know, that we'd come out of it, there'd be a solution. But then when I went bankrupt, it was a different story. And that's why I started working on my mind and I started listening to these videos. I realized that your subconscious mind, I really believe it's like 97% of the people are not following their dreams, not following their goals. They have a ton of fear in their mind, and you know, the news, it's just all horrible, man. Everything's horrible, right? When you listen to the news, it's one negative story after another, after another, after a murder, blah, 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 blah. You can't even keep up with it. And so I started working on reprogramming my mind, right? You know, that I had to be abundant. And yeah, I know it's not in right now. I liked being a multimillionaire. I liked it. The 3% that are millionaires that are, I don't want to even say they're all millionaires, but at least they're chasing their dreams, like the mountain climbers, the rock climbers. They're in that 3%. They don't care about the 401k, or maybe they do, but they're still doing their dream anyway, and they're gonna figure it out, and somehow they're gonna make it till they croak with something in their pocket and get fed. We're in like the richest country in the world, and so most of it was an illusion. It's an illusion in your mind that we're good. If we don't save up in our 401k, and all this terrible stuff's going to happen to us if we don't have money, you know. And so basically, like I said, I want to get back on track here. but I reprogrammed myself with this. Started listening to these videos, and I've been listening to them for years now. I mean, I'm talking years. I worked with a hypnotist to work on my mind. I was working with her. I can't remember how many times a week I was working with her. She go, Bill, people don't do this. They normally do a little bit. And I go, well, I got a lot wrong with me, so let's do it. And then on top of that, I started realizing that I need to reprogram my mind with these videos. And there's a lot of things on YouTube. Like right now, I'm listening to the abundance ones on money because I really got to get that straightened out. And so I'm watching these videos of people in, fancy sports cars and fancy music, and they're sitting on the beach, and they're looking at the sunset, and they're doing all this, and it's okay to have money. It's okay to want to be rich. It's okay to want to be famous. Because I'll tell you what, yeah, I wouldn't want to be famous to just be famous, but I want a big platform. I want to help those people in downtown San Francisco, those people in oh my God, in London, when I swim the English Channel, I went on the channel, I guess it's called the channel.